What up, people? You already know the Latin assassin back at ya with what to do with Big Lou NFZR2, baby. First, first time you're coming to the channel, as always, you hear this spiel on the regular. If you come to this channel and become a subscriber and catch all the shows, lives, videos, and shorts, it's highly appreciated if you sub, like, to share the channel with your family, friends, folks, people, gente, buddies, pals, amigos, panas, camaradas, asocios, associates, and comrades. Also, feel free to comment, and I respond back to all the comments. So earlier, I started a live, and unfortunately, I hit a bad spot, and I was kicked off the signal, and then kicked off the live stream, and then I couldn't tap back in. It was just a bad area, I guess, and I think the way it goes is if you're not able to tap back in with the StreamYard, then eventually they kick you off, and I think that's what happened to me. What's up, Machete? I send mine. Saludos to you and your fam. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. It's about that time, right? So anyways, earlier it was about sharing with my partners. Yeah, thanks, brother. I appreciate that. And always too, anybody has any questions or any ideas or anything like that or whatever, even if you want to come on and have an episode about something, sports topics or sports figures, it's all good in Hollywood, man. Just shoot it. You know what I mean? Let me know. Get at me. Let me know what's on your mind. You know what I'm saying? And anyways, so earlier it was about, I did the stream. I think we went on about, it was like 35 minutes or something like that, but a lot of it was jacked up because, like I said, not only did I get kicked off, but before that, I lost a spot where it happened another time. And then also on top of that, it got kind of like choppy, you know what I mean, the audio. So it was a lot of issues with that one. But anyways, the topic was about the Second Amendment and how, once you become a felon, you get rid of, you let that go. Your amendments take your Second Amendment rights, and you never regain those back ever once you're off parole. And I mean, once you get out of prison and discharge parole, unless you get like a pardon from a governor, or if it's a federal case, then obviously you need a pardon from the president, and then clemency and all that stuff, right? That's the only way you're going to get from up under a felony conviction on your record, state or federal. And which, I'm saying is that, depending what state you live in, you regain your amendment to vote, your voting rights you get back. You get back your rights to not search, for search and seizure. So why can't we get our back, our gun rights back? Now, thing is this: if you got, convictions for murder, attempted murder, manslaughter, armed robberies, carjackings, assault with deadly weapons, mayhem, stuff like that, strong arm, any type of strong arm cases, then that's different. Also what falls on that, even though it's not a felony, it's a misdemeanor, would be domestic violence and some type of assault charges. But for the most part, if you get a felony, then that was it wasn't that type of misdemeanor assault, which is sometimes just a slap on the wrist, maybe a couple of days in jail. But nonetheless, those type of charges is what you won't get your, you won't receive your gun rights back for. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Or what they can do too is, say I was using in the video, I was using my dad as an example. He's born in the 40s, early 40s. He had caught like some type of weed charge, I believe it was, and got a felony. And this was sometime in the 60s, and got out and never went back. So, even though they changed the laws here in California, some felonies, when it comes to the dope cases for possession is a misdemeanor. But when it comes to possession for sales, I'm not sure how that works as far as getting amended and the retroactive the retroactive, meaning they can go back on stuff, go back and cleaning it up and having it drop to a misdemeanor. Anyhow, that is not obviously not a violent case. So, but therefore, unfortunately for him, because of that, he can never own a firearm legitly, right? So, it's kind of ridiculous when it comes to some, yeah, we're felons, but we've never been, never been involved with a violent crime, and therefore you should be able to get your gun rights back. Now, what I was getting to was the fact is, like, for example, my dad ain't been in no trouble since the 60s, right? As far as any type of felonies, you're talking 50 plus years, closer to 60 than 50, so at what point, at some point, or what point, some point, put a number on it, you can get back your gun rights even if you're ex-felon, ex-con, but you don't necessarily, a con is the person that goes to prison. You don't necessarily have to been, you can have a felony conviction and never been to prison. That's possible. A lot of guys go to jail and get busted on a felony and go to jail. Now, you usually don't get numerous felonies, like say 3-4 felonies in your jacket, your arrest history. We say jacket here, on your jacket, and then still stay in the county. It's very rare, but it has happened. Like where I've been sentenced to 60 days in the county jail. You know what I mean? When I already had into the pen a few times, but what the that and be accepted, right? But like they could put like a number on it. Okay, you did your time. You got busted. You did your time. You paroled, say 2000. Why can't like go your farm after 2020? 20 years later, for example. You know what I mean? Or 10 years later, or 15 years later. Even 20 later, I will take instead of 0. You know what I mean? You can have your rights back in 2020. You know what I'm saying? Or 2022, you can have your rights back December. And then you get it. You know what I mean? It's all good in Hollywood. So that's what that one was about. And it got, like I said, I lost signal. I lost the signal, and it ended up getting terminated by StreamYard. I'd imagine it was either StreamYard or YouTube, but I don't think it was YouTube because I was actually on the StreamYard. You know what I mean? I had a live stream going like I do now. So I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it was StreamYard. Because like you can lose your signal and then get kicked off the stream and then retap the signal and the link and try to get back in. And people get back in. But what I'm thinking is after say a minute or 2 or 5, they kick you off. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happened there. Now. Let's see, what is my check they saying here? My check they said concealed carry is up to the sheriff in some county are more lenient. Yeah, but that's the thing though, even if they are lenient and they allow it, say Harris County, Texas, right? That's Houston. Okay? Say it's okay to carry conceal there. But it's still a federal law in place saying that ex-felons can't have firearms, and then here in California, it's a state law also. Felons can't carry firearms. So what they do is you get hit with the state charge in California, and then you got to worry about the feds charging you too, picking it up. You know what I mean? You have to worry about that too. So it's all that sounds good, but at the end of the day, you got bigger entities, right? Obviously, the federal level is bigger than, say, the state of Texas. You know what I'm saying, or the state of Indiana, or the state of Wisconsin, whatever. You know what I mean? The federal government is the government. You know what I mean? The federal government is the man, basically. You know what I mean? That's under the direction of the president. States are basically the governor is the man in the states. They have the last say. You know what I mean? I don't know if this is making sense, but yeah, it'd be cool. Like, yeah, this depending the sheriffs, but it's not really depending the sheriffs. I want to say it's a. So you're saying it's an ordinance, kind of like a county ordinance, I guess you could say, but it's not a law because every law's got to be passed, voted by the House. And the same thing, the way it works, the state house I don't know if they're called a representative or how they're called. They're called assemblyman. I'm not sure what the state level thing is called, but it works the same way. And then the senators, the 50, you have the 50 senators, right? And then you have 50 junior senators and 50 senior senators, and that gives you the 100 senators in Washington D.C. And then in the states you have state senators, and it works. It has the same. It's the same concept, So, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? But governors, presidents can't say this is what it is and it just goes through. Everything's got to be passed through. They can what do you call that? Veto stuff that come across their desk to be signed. They can veto it. Stuff like that. It's pretty complex. If you don't know anything about government, kind of things can become complex and sometimes confusing for some folks. But that just goes with everything else. You got to learn. You learn about it. You read, you watch stories, you watch documentaries, whatever it is, and you pick up and you learn from it, right? Same way I learn from sports, same way you learn from your job at the assembly line, at the automotive, the factory, your factory job, whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? So that's what's up with all that. Now, on the other hand, some people, they come out and they say, they try that fear mongering stuff where they'll say, oh, liberals this, liberals that, they're trying to take your gun rights. It's not that, that's not true. Now, people don't seem to understand is these weapons, you protect your household, that's one thing. Protect your household, that's what I recommend. I'm all for that. You protect your household with your traditional rifles, 30-06, 22 rifle. You might have a shotgun, double barrel. You know what I mean? Your 9mm, your 38 revolver, your 357 revolver, your 44 snub nose. Your 45 with 10-round clip. Your 40 Glock, your 380, whatever it is, 25, 32. Whatever you got. But when it starts coming to these war machines, like these what we call choppers, right? AK and SKSs and what's the other one? M16s and M4, Mac 10s, Mac 11. Those weapons are made for war. We call them choppers because you can chop down a tree, You know what I'm saying? And so you can't hunt with those rifles. I mean, I guess you could, but it's not the deal or whatever you want to say. You know what I mean? I don't believe there's no reason for somebody to have an AKS or anything that's fully automatic. You know what I mean? I just don't believe that anybody would need to have a weapon like that, at home and say that they're for protection, I mean, to each his own, but that's just not something I buy. Now, if you got it and you'd like to go shoot it at the shooting range, that's something different. But, that's just my little thing. And, I'm not trying to get political over here. I'm just talking about the gun rights, you know what I'm saying? And what it means to people, It's just, and then, you can look at it too like this, okay, Nick M said in Boston they're strict on the gun laws, on buying guns or what? What are they strict on? California is pretty strict. Like California is really strict as far as getting weapons, buying them on the getting them. From what I understand, I mean, obviously I never went down to the shop and bought one because I can't, right? For way over 20 years, you know what I'm saying? I ain't been able to. I can't. It's just illegal. When you take your deal in court, when you take that felony probation or that felony probation or the felony itself that's going to send you to prison, they have the bailiff come over there to you and sign a paper You have a lot of times you have to put your fingerprint on it, your thumbprint, I mean, and you sign it, and they tell you basically right there, in person and on the paper, that if you own any, if you own any weapons, or or you have possession of weapons, that you need to get rid of them. You can no longer legally own them, right? And then they make you sign the paper, and then you put your thumbprint, I believe it was, on the paper, and that's what you're agreeing to them. Okay, yeah, okay, I can't buy nothing no longer. Okay, if I do have something, I need to get rid of it, and you're telling me now. You know what I'm saying? That's how that works. 2 years for a pistol. It takes 2 years to get cleared to buy a pistol, or you're saying you get 2 years in prison for the pistol? Wow, if it's the first question I asked, it takes 2 years to get cleared to purchase a pistol. That's crazy. I don't think it takes that long here. I think here it's only like 90 days or something, and then after that, you got to show. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you got to show that you know how to operate it, you know how to take it apart, you know how to clean it, you know how to shoot it, you know how to yeah, man, mine went blank. But you know how to load it and all that, and properly use it. I believe you have to do a course on that. And yeah, so it's real strict on operations as far as becoming a legit owner. But it just makes you that better of a gun handler, I guess. If you haven't already been an owner, you know what I mean. But me, on the other hand, like I said, I can never own one, not legitly, not unless something changes. You know what I mean? Which I would hope it does at one point here. It'd be nice. Like I said, if if they come out and say, okay, 20 years, we'll give you back your rights to bear arms. 20 years, and the last time you were convicted, which would be 2016, February 2016, I believe it is, because it's going on 7 years, February, since I've been convicted of a felony, excuse me. And yes, sir. So that's what's up with that. See what Nick's saying here. I think my chat is saying something too. The government will never get the gun rights correct. Too many politicians for it, and just as many against it. Yeah, you're kind of right there. 2 years in prison. So yeah. So you said 2 years in prison, and I asked the question if it was a 2 year wait to get the gun actually, or in prison. You said prison. Okay, so possession of a firearm, ex-felon in possession of a firearm, carries here in California. Low term, 16 months, mid-term, 2 years, and high term, 3 years. So 16, 2, and 3. Also, what falls up under that is felony evading, which means once you break 3 traffic laws, it's considered evading. But you got to draw. I want to say. Stop sign, running a stop sign, running a red light, those type of things. Those are considered infractions. You do 3 of them, and it's a felony evading, and that's a vehicle code. That's not a penal code, so it's a BC vehicle code 2800.2 or something like that, and that also carries 16, 2, and 3. So does possession of ammunition. So does commercial burglary. So if you get caught stealing from a store or business that's closed, or a business like a storage, that's considered commercial burglary, and that carries 16, 2, and 3 as well. And then let's see. Possession, 16, 2, and 3. Possession of sale, 16, 2, and 3 carries. So again, 16, 2 and 3 means 16 months low term, 2 years midterm, 3 years high term. That's what that means. So, yeah, there's third, and you know, you learn all this terminology after being, you know, inside, being around the fellas, and you just pick up, you know, pick up on the slang. You know, it is what it is, and you know, but yeah. So you see, check this. Says California requires certification of gun use in order to get licensed and pay fees too. Yeah, all that. How many years they give you if you get caught in Cali? Yeah. So yeah, I got a case back in what year was that? 2006. I caught up in a possession of firearm, and I got a third of 2 years, and that's because, which is 8 months, and that's because it was not my controlling case. It was my my controlling case with a 4-year term, what they call back east a bid, right? So it was a 4-year term they gave me for which one was that called? Transporting it was. I got a 4-year, which was my controlling case. My non-controlling case, I had a possession, which is a third of the midterm I got on that one too, which is 8 months, and then a third of the midterm on the gun charge, which is 8 months. So you add the two together, 16 months. So it was 4 years plus 16 months, which equaled 5 years, 4 months. So it was 64 months total. Came out with that one, and then and 3 felonies I had, and then the 4-year probation violation. So what they did was they hit me with $200 on each the 4-year term. They hit me with $200. They hit me with $200 on the 16-month term, the 2 8 months added together, and they hit me with $200 on the probation violation. And that was the restitution I owed, $600. And that's when they were charging $200 a case. Well, actually, a docket number, basically, I guess you could say. So $200 a piece, that goes towards, and then every time you get money, they clip that ass. 55% they take from you. So that's legally they can only take 50%, which they do towards restitution, which that's what they do. But then the trust account office charges you 5% for doing the transaction, for you know, cashing the check, cashing the order, receiving the JPay, you know, and they charge you 5%. That's where that comes from. So at one time when I started doing time, it was only 22% they would take. So $100, you get $78, which is pretty good, you know. Even if you owed money, they would just take the $22 out of there, and it would go to wherever it had to go. And then it went up to 60. Then it went down to 66%, or excuse me, it went up to 33, and then 44, and then 55. That's what happened there. So the quicker you get that restitution paid off, the quicker you get every dollar that's sent to you. You know what I mean? Now, the only thing they do take off when it comes to that is they hit you for whatever the fee is. So if they send you $110, if you're going through JPay or if you're going through Access, they charge you like, I think for $110 they charge you about, I want to say it's like $5, something like that. They charge you for doing that, the transaction. You know what I mean? So it beats getting the money order or check. You know, a lot of back in the day, a lot of that stuff. That was the how would I say it? That was the form of the way they, you know, that was the way that's what they used back in the day. You know, money orders. Like when you're doing business up in there, illegal stuff. You know, with substances and stuff like that. What they would do was, you know, you would you would be expecting a money order from somebody that owed you, and then what they would do was they would send a writing material packet in. And what I mean by that is your writing supplies. It'll have blank paper. You're allowed to get 40 stamps, so that'd be 2 books, or so you get 2 books. So you're allowed 2 stamps and then 40 blank envelopes or stamped envelopes. However your people send it to you, and then you get the 150 sheets of white paper, and then that would be in there, and then 15 pictures you can get, and reception center and Tracy, you can get the pins, 2 clear pins, blue or black, in the writing envelope. And so how they would do it was your peoples would get the money order, send it to where it had to go, whatever address you were given to by the person you're doing business with. They would mail it to them, and then what they would do is before they mailed it, they would take a copy of it, and then they would take a copy or 2, or however they did it, however you instructed them to do it, and then they would mail it, one of the copies to you in the they would disguise it and within the stack of papers, the white sheets of paper, and they would put it in between the pages of that and send it to you. So then when you got the packet, you knew already to go through the pages, the white paper, and find your copy of your money order. That way the guy can't say, oh, I didn't get it, you didn't send it, and that bullshit. Because then, that'll happen too, people. You know what I mean? People will try to be sneaky and snakes and do that shit. The sentence changes if you use the fire. Oh yeah, of course. But just the good old possession of a firearm carries 16 months low term, 2 years midterm, 3 years high term. And then, like I said earlier, I don't know, you probably didn't catch it. Well, we brought up about double jeopardy. Like, here I already did my time. I got a strike on the case, but then I come back through again after getting released, and I catch another case. And because I got that strike from before, that automatically doubles my time. So I'm being punished again for something I already did. And so these are called enhancements. So you got a strike from before. You come through on something that carries 16, 2, and 3. They'll give you most likely the midterm, which is 2 years. So now you got the 2 years, and then they double it automatically because you have a strike. So that equals 4 years. And say you've been to prison already once or twice. You got prison priors, which are, remember, like I said, out here, out west, we call them terms. Back east, they call them bids. So I've already been to prison on 2 different terms. That's 1 year per prison term. So now they add the 2, either 1 or 2 on top of the 4 years, the 2 that got doubled to 4, and they add the 1 year prison prior or 2, making it now 5 years or 6 years, and you don't get half time. And because you have the strike, you got to do 80% of the time, even if it originally was a half-time case. You know what I mean? So that's where all that bullshit comes in, the enhancements and all that bullshit. So instead of you just getting the 2 years with half, which would have been 1 year, now you're doing 5 or 6 years with 80%. You know what I mean? That's how things start changing when and then the higher the offense is, as far as like, being worse or maybe more violent or whatever, then that's when all that even changes. It goes higher. You know what I mean? Let's see, what the world? Steve Tortola tapping in from Canada. What up, Steve? This Discotaza. Who else we got? What else he's talking about? Top of the world to you all. Joey Melrose, Nick M. Machete con la machete en la mano. And then so that's just all the trip, man. Some of these laws, that's why I always say a lot of times, and you hear a lot of other people say that are more involved as far as pushing the message for prison reform, and that's on the federal level and the state level. A lot of shit needs to be changed. Like one thing I always talk about too is these old guys that are in the joint. They have tons of problems. They might be wearing diapers. They might have dementia or worse, Alzheimer's already. They got no clue of who they are. They can't even feed themselves. You got literally people feeding them, changing them, shaving them. They're no threat to nobody. But the fact is, is, like somebody mentioned earlier with all the politicians, is that the, judges are politicians. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You get voted as a judge, but on the federal level, they get appointed by the president. You know what I mean? Then you have the district attorneys, the federal district attorneys, all the way across the board. They're voted in. The main district attorney of the office, I'm not speaking of the, the assistants from the, the county. Though they're, hired, but the head of the office is voted in. You know what I'm saying? So those positions, and I'll use Kamala Harris as an example because she was the district attorney of San Francisco at one point, and then she became the attorney general of California, which is basically the top cop of California. And you look to prosper in your career and keep going up. That's how that works. So, these they don't want to make these decisions a lot of times, like overturning things and letting, in their eyes, being like, lenient or whatever, because they're afraid that something might happen in the future with by freeing some of these people, and then they commit another crime that's heinous or, violent, and then it makes them look bad. You know what I'm saying? And that's what these people do a lot. Like, like it said that Kamala Harris, when she was the district attorney of, the district attorney and the attorney general, that guys should have been freed after they were found they were innocent. I don't know if they were exonerated because of DNA or whatever, but she did not push the issue to get them out. Like, she made sure that they stood in there till, she was damn near found in contempt, by the judges or whatever, and it was said that it was due to cheap labor and things like that, which that's all a bunch of bullshit. If you're being held and you're not guilty, and it's been proven that you're not guilty, they should be pushing the issue to get you out of there quick, like emergency release. You know what I'm saying? And you don't get that. Demo DeVille, what up, man? JMSJ, two Sharkstedos in the casa. Orale. So yeah, that's where I'm going with. That's where I was going with that. But also that thumbnail. I don't know if you guys seen that thumbnail, but that's like I want to say that San Quentin gym. That place is pretty big and it's packed at one point with bunks. I've had to live in gyms, not that gym. Tracy gym, which they made into the Y dorm and the Z dorm, and they put a fence down the middle. You know what I mean? I've been there. I've been Pleasant Valley gym. I've been in emergency bunks. You know what I mean? Where it's supposed to be, what do you call that? Emergency bunks, like the day room. Damn, I couldn't even think. The day room, which is level 3, the 270 design buildings. What that means is from the tower, the cop can see the building from a 270 angle. It's like a horseshoe where it's got A side, B side, C side. So it's 3 points where, and then they moved the tables and the benches over and put bunks there, and then had the tables and benches over off to the side. And those were called, depending what facility you're at, institution, they were called either T bunks for temporary or E bunks for emergency. And that shit was crazy, man. You see cats running out. And the reason I'm saying that is because these guys did not want to be there on that yard, because at one point it was considered not a good yard because of certain group segments that were there. Because this prison their mission was to house a certain group segment. And that group segment, both Latino, this is a Latino group segment, the Bulldogs from Fresno. Fresno are Bulldogs, and then the county of Fresno County, they got the cities, the little towns or cities of Sanger, Selma, Reedley, Orange Cove, Pinedale, Clovis, and those are cities in Fresno or towns in the county of Fresno. So they're called county dogs. They're not called bulldogs. In order to be a bulldog, you got to be from the city of Fresno. Okay, So you're not supposed to program with these guys on the yard, being north from north to south. Okay, and so a lot of guys, it was a yard that was recently turned over, and like for us, for example, we were kicked out of the ADSEC. When we got there, they wanted us to sign papers saying that, oh, we don't meet their housing criteria of the mission of housing Fresno Bulldogs. And we were like, no, we're not saying that. You're saying that. We're not agreeing to that. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, they're saying that, and we're not agreeing to that. They're just making that accusation, and we're not going to roll with that shit. Okay, so when we got kicked out, like I said, we were in the hole for a while. Some guys were there for a long while before I got there with my celly. And so what they ended up doing was they ended up moving, I think there was 26 or 27 that were on the yard, and they put them in the ADSEG, the oil, and they flopped with 26, 27 of us. Okay, so that was fresh. So a lot of guys didn't know that was going on yet. And some guys did find out that the yard had changed, but they still weren't feeling it yet. So they wanted to go to another yard, another prison. So what they would do is when doors would crack, they would just pick out a target and rush them, that are on the bunks. And so if you're not paying attention, you're sitting there on your bunk or laying on your bunk, or you might have your mattress rolled up and, with it against the lockers, and you're sitting up on it, maybe one foot on the bunk straight and your other foot on the floor, on the ground, you know what I mean? And they just run up on you, start taking off on you. Or if they constructed a weapon in there, they might come at you with that. It just depends. So you got to that's why they say be booted and suited, rise and shine. It's program time. So it's your duty and responsibility to have your ass awake, 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning, washed up and ready to go, booted and suited. Meaning you don't have to necessarily be in your state blues, but you got to be, in shorts or whatever, and make sure those shoes are on, if not your boots, you know what I'm saying? Because shit can get ugly quick, and you got to be able to defend yourself, you know what I mean? So I've seen guys do this, so I always make sure, living in those bunks, those emergency bunks, that shit wasn't cool, you know what I mean? Just imagine that. You're seeing guys, rushing out and taking off on people, you know what I mean? It just ain't cool, you know what I'm saying? You gotta be prepared, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna go ahead and this is gonna be a real short one. I appreciate everybody that did tap in. Let's see. When Pennsylvania changed the law, my friend was the first to get 5 years for having the gun with 3 other guys holding up a taxi. Oh shit, that's armed robbery. Exactly. Move your ass. Get it done. Yeah. So basically, this was just an extension of the one that I did earlier. I'm home now, and so we're gonna decorate tree time. And I got the wifey something, and I'm gonna take that on in. Got her some flowers. You know what I'm saying? Y'all I know Yankee for Life knows what's up, but just got these. About to go take it to her, and it is what it is. But yeah, I sent mine's Rich, Joey Melrose, Steve Tortola, Nick M, Yankees for Life, Timo DeVille, Machete, JMSJ. That's everybody. Yeah. So this is just a quick one. Yeah, it was raining. Yeah. Tashanka, what up, man? Back on reception. Yeah, it's a lot better. I was in a bad area. It just was tore up, but I'm already tapping out. So I've been on about 40 minutes, and I'm home now, and I've been gone for a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and tap on out. Tomorrow, I'm gonna have Adam on for Interaction 2, 4 p.m. Pacific time. Either 4 p.m. or 4:30 Pacific time tomorrow. So that'll be either 5:30, or 6:30 Central time, 7:30 Eastern time, guys. So tap on in and show that love and support for both Adam and Big Lou. You know what I mean? And again, I appreciate everybody for stopping in. Tapping out.